In the early years of television, the Western was a big part of the programming for television. From 1949 to the late 60s, there were over 100 Western series. America had seen the Westerns first on the big screen and then also listened to it on the radio. So the stage was set for such an explosion of Westerns on the small screen. The first TV Western series was the Hopalong Cassidy show. It began airing on June 24, 1949. That show was adapted from the very popular Hopalong Cassidy movie series, and it proved to be a successful formula for the television audience. Most of the Westerns on early television were geared towards children, so obviously most of them were primarily written for a children's audience. That focus for the TV Western remained until September 6, 1955, when the first Western written specifically for the adult audience premiered. That show was The Life and Legend of Wyatt Earp. 4 days later, the TV version of Gunsmoke premiered. And 2 weeks later, on 20 September 1955, came Cheyenne's show. It was partially based on a 1947 movie of the same name. That Warner Brothers movie starred Dennis Morgan. Television was a new venture for Warner Brothers. Their adult Western was part of the series Warner Brothers Presents, which featured 3 rotating series on ABC: Casablanca, Kings Row, and Cheyenne. Casablanca and Kings Row were based on previous Warner Brothers projects. They only survived 1 season. Cheyenne, on the other hand, was the preferred program from the beginning and continued on. America's fascination with the cowboy, apparently, was not that far from the past. The Warner Brothers adult Western was different from Wyatt Earp and Gunsmoke. Cheyenne was the first hour-long television Western series, and it was the first wholly original series to be produced by a major Hollywood studio. Cheyenne was a lone Western hero who could be anything the producers and or writers would ask of him, whether it be a marshal, wanderer, or cowpuncher. And that fact changed television. Because Cheyenne was made by Warner Brothers, it had a larger budget than many of the early 50s TV Westerns. That meant things like music, cinematography, and on-location filming had more influence on the show's quality and most likely contributed to its longevity. Cheyenne Bodie was played by 6'6" Clint Walker. Walker was good-looking, broad-shouldered, and well-muscled. I think the writers of Cheyenne must have used that fact to their advantage. Cheyenne appeared often shirtless. In the very first episode of Cheyenne, called Mountain Fortress, James Garner played Army Lieutenant Brad Forsyth. Garner, in fact, was one of the actors considered for the role of Cheyenne, but according to Clint Walker's memoirs, Garner couldn't be located until after Walker had already been cast in the role. Cheyenne had a sidekick for a while. His name was Smitty, and he was played by L.Q. Jones. Smitty was witty and quite a talker. In the first episode, Smitty introduced Cheyenne to the bad guy and to the world when he said, "You must be new to these parts, mister. This here's Cheyenne." The critics complained that Cheyenne's show was too oriented to children. Smitty's wisecracking character was dropped in order to change Cheyenne's character into a loner and drifter. In 1958, Clint Walker briefly left the show in a contract dispute with Warner Brothers. Ty Harden was brought in during the dispute as Cheyenne's country cousin, Bronco Lane. Bronco became a spin-off of Cheyenne and at first alternated the time slot with another Western series called Sugarfoot, starring Will Hutchins. Bronco and Sugarfoot began alternating with Cheyenne in 1960 under the Cheyenne title. A year later, in 1961, Sugarfoot was dropped, leaving Cheyenne and Bronco to alternate. Cheyenne aired for 108 episodes from 1955 to 1962, and like many other TV shows, Cheyenne featured many well-known guests, and here are a few.
Move along, Cheyenne, like the rain.